First son Hunter Biden is now facing 9 new federal charges in what the Department of Justice is calling a 4-year-long tax evasion scheme. Now, the charges come as part of special counsel David Weiss's ongoing investigation into Hunter Biden. And the DOJ claims that Hunter chose not to pay $1.4 million in taxes between 2016 and 2019. Instead, they allege he used that money to fund a lavish lifestyle filled with partying, drugs, women, and adult entertainment. Now, there's new questions emerging about this indictment's impact on President Biden's re-election campaign. One political analyst saying it's like a nuclear bomb going off for the Bidens. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Emily Campagno, and joining me today, Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce, Fox Business anchor and co-host of The Bottom Line on Fox Business, Dagan McDowell, Fox and Friends first co-host Carly Shimkus, an Army veteran, former NFL player, and host of the Jake Beckett Show podcast, Jake Beckett. Now first, let's go to David Spunt in Washington with the latest. David.
Well, Emily, the government says, quote, Hunter Biden chose not to pay at least $1.4 million in self-assessed federal taxes, end quote. But the government adds he had plenty of money to do so. This indictment was filed late last night in the Central District of California that covers Los Angeles, where Hunter Biden has called home since 2018. It reads in part between 2016 and October 15th, 2020, the defendant spent this money on drugs, escorts and girlfriends, luxury hotels and rental properties, exotic cars, clothing, and other items of a personal nature. In short, everything but his taxes. Some of those charges include failure to pay in 2016, the same in 2017, also failure to file in 2017, and a failure to pay taxes in 2018. Then we move into the felonies of tax evasion allegations in 2018, following a false return, which is a felony in 2018, and following a false return on another tax document in 2018, another felony. Some of those expenses include $1.6 million plus in ATM withdrawals, $683,000 at least for, quote, payments to various women, at least $397,000 for clothing and accessories, at least $309,000 on tuition, education, $237,000 on health, beauty, and pharmacy products. Then we go on to $214,000 on food, groceries, $188,000 at least on adult entertainment, $71,000 at least on drug and alcohol rehab, $42,000 on home improvement, $24,000 on entertainment, and at least $23,000 on sports and recreation. Now, Hunter's attorney, Abby Lowell, tells Fox News, based on the facts and the law, if Hunter's last name was anything other than Biden, the charges in Delaware and now California would not have been brought. He continues, now after 5 years of investigating with no new evidence and 2 years after Hunter paid his taxes in full, the U.S. attorney has piled on 9 new charges when he had agreed just months ago to resolve this matter with a pair of misdemeanors. Remember, that was the plea deal in Delaware that fell apart in a very public way. These 9 charges are in addition to the federal gun charges Hunter Biden is facing in Delaware. And it appears, Emily, in both these cases, he's ready to take his chances on a jury. And this could go to trial in Delaware and California in 2024, the same year his dad's running for re-election. Back to you.
David, thank you so much for that. All right, let's bring this conversation back to the couch. Now, look, Jake, I don't feel like giving advice to Hunter, but my advice would be this. You don't take those kind of charges in front of juries. I've spent enough time in prisons to know that those who have engaged in tax evasion or fraud and are sitting and rotting in prison for 10, 20 years, it's because they went before a jury. If you take a plea deal, you'll get the year and the day and eligible for your early release. If Hunter did even a fraction of what is alleged here, he's facing a long road ahead.
Right, because the American people, those who would sit on a jury, average people, the average Joe, they can see this corruption for what it is. I mean, we're seeing a long pattern of criminal behavior. Just some Easter eggs from this indictment. I mean, everyone who saw that, keep in mind, this is who Joe Biden said was the smartest man that he knows. Nearly $500,000 on hookers in 2018 alone when he told his ex-wife he couldn't pay alimony. I mean, he said he withdrew $1.7 million in cash from ATMs. How is that physically possible? I mean, this guy is just going buck wild out there on the streets of New York, L.A., Washington, D.C. This is the son of the president, and keep in mind, he was engaged in criminal corruption with China, with Ukraine, with Burisma. He didn't report $1 million million in income from Burisma in the same year he didn't pay his income taxes. This is a huge scandal.
Right. All of these allegations, as we see them develop, we will see whether, in fact, he is convicted for those. And Dagan, to Jake's point, he clearly was having a great time, which is fine. But when you do so at the expense of the federal government, our tax dollars, when you do it snubbing your nose at those who do pay taxes, at your wife and child who apparently weren't worthy enough of a few dollars to support, let's cover a few of these salacious allegations here in the indictment. As Jake laid out, almost $1 million on various women and adult entertainment. Failed to identify payments to a stripper and escort as personal expenses rather than business expenses, as he claimed. He claimed he paid a stripper for artwork, which the indictment lays out there was no artwork exchanged. Spent thousands on his business line of credit at a strip club. And again, you want to spend your money how you want to spend it, fine. But you do not do so at the expense of the government, your fellow citizens, or potentially here, the impunity with which you behave because of your last name.
Right. We all knew that Hunter Biden was a trash-tastic, sweaty ball of skeeve just looking at one photo from that laptop. But what's interesting, and Andy McCarthy writes about this in the National Review, the way the indictment is written, and David Weiss lays out, because of these details, this man is a reprobate who is deserving of prosecution, despite what Abby Lowell has to say. But that kind of smacks David Weiss in his own face because he refused to prosecute Hunter Biden for years and actually allowed the years of 2014 and 2015 to be time barred. And those are the very years that the American people would want to see the details of the money coming into the Biden family, because that's when Joe Biden was still the vice president. And then David Weiss told the investigators on this case, oh, I can't bring charges because the U.S. attorneys in Los Angeles and Washington won't do it. That's a lie. It was all run out of, and still is, out of Main Justice. It was up to Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, more recently to sign off on this. That was a lie. And then David Weiss cut this sweetheart plea deal, 2 misdemeanors, and now we've got 3 felonies. So I digress. But the bigger issue is, as Andy points out, what did the Bidens give in exchange for all of this moolah coming in? And this is the very reason, to your point, you will not probably ever see this go in front of a jury, because even in this indictment, there's no mention of Joe Biden, but you do get some conversation about all of the players in this, reference to Jim Biden, described as one of the business associates. And even the indictment lays out that it was agreed in 2014 that Hunter Biden was getting paid $1 million a year, and then Weiss, I will finish my thought. Just excuse me, I just got rattled. But then magically in 2017, that when Joe Biden's no longer the vice president, that's when the money gets cut in half.
Right. And Tammy, here's my question. I've seen the government prosecute for a lot more, for a lot less. I've sat in front of inmates in holidays and federal prisons, cancer survivors, mothers who were on the hook for $30,000. I mean, it spent more to prosecute them than to recoup that monies. I find no joy in anyone being prosecuted, but what disheartens me is the sense of either uneven justice or of, again, impunity that someone can operate with. So my question is, do you see here, are you heartened at all that perhaps we might see justice? Might someone actually be treated like their fellow Americans are treated, which is like crap from the IRS? Or do you feel that he will still come off somehow squeaky clean?
I don't think squeaky clean is possible at this point, but I think what Americans notice that, people commit crimes for a variety of different reasons. Desperation, you need money, you're running from some, there's reasons. Everybody's got a reason. This guy was doing it for fun. This guy was doing it, in Bill Clinton's words, on another matter, because he could. That's what we look at. And when Americans look at also the amount of money, the nature, the choices to stiff the ex-wife, to ignore the child, pretend the child's not his while he's doing what he's doing, and still the government is protecting. But I think that as people think that this is going to be a last straw for Joe Biden, if anything, especially with what's coming out, is that it's in Joe Biden's interest to desperately remain in the White House. One, maybe to pardon his son. Two, to be protected even as much as you can be protected as the president in ways that you can be when you're a private citizen, right? So there's an interest in Biden staying. That may be why he stays, because of the nature of now what's emerging in this election year. It'll be up to the American people, but I think that we are seeing this despite their attempts to keep it from us, the laptop, et cetera. And I think that we're going to be getting the information we didn't before, and juries are not going to like it no matter what the jurisdiction.
So, Carly, what are your thoughts on that? What will the impact be on this election for Biden Sr. or for Joe Biden, or the impeachment investigation? What impact does this have?
Yeah,
on
well,
him?
This next year will be very interesting because it'll be Donald Trump's legal issues versus the Hunter Biden stuff. So we're going to be spending a lot of time in courtrooms, and it will absolutely impact the election. Whether or not it'll even out, only time will tell. But Tammy, you're right to bring up the possibility of a pardon. Karine Jean-Pierre has said that Joe Biden wouldn't do that. Easy to say.
Of course he will.
Yeah, with a lot of distance between a potential guilty charge. Only time will tell if that actually ends up happening. I have heard Joe Biden say so many times that the rich should pay their fair share. Speechwriters are going to have to ball up that piece of paper and throw it out, given the details of this indictment. And this is just a fraction of the sum total that could have been. Gary Shapley has said that David Weiss slow-walked this whole thing to let the statute of limitations expire for the 2014 financial crimes, which is the year that Hunter Biden was making money off of Burisma. So, Dakin, you are right to bring up David Weiss's involvement in this being very perplexing, because he said that he had full authority this whole entire time. So then why would you do the plea deal only to get called out by the judge and the whistleblowers and say, you know what, actually 9 charges and 3 felony counts actually seems a lot more like it. A bigger picture here, of course, is Joe Biden. And there's going to be a vote next week on whether or not to enter the formal impeachment inquiry. I don't think that this does Joe Biden any favors. And also, he's not doing himself any favors either, because it was just this week that he said it's all lies. He never spoke to Hunter Biden's business associates when there were these emails that just came out that shows that he was using secret pseudonyms to contact Hunter Biden's business associates. So there are still a lot of questions remaining when it comes to Joe Biden's involvement in all of this as well.
That's right. It's so explosive, and it is just the tip of the iceberg. Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.